Okay, my name is Jan Zuckerman, Zuckerman, and I'm a teacher at Sunnyside Environmental School. We represent a united staff from Sunnyside Environmental School, one committed to racial equity and closing the opportunity gap for all students in Portland Public Schools. We're humbly and genuinely asking for the board's help and partnership to jointly examine our current enrollment and transfer practices, ask tough questions about our own institutionalized racism, and quickly make important changes together. Before we begin, it's important that the board, the superintendent, and the greater community know that we love our Sunnyside students and families, and our intention is to improve our school district as a whole, not to pit groups of people against each other. We are a vibrant community, one that values students, staff, parent, and community members, all having a stake in the education of children. This is a difficult situation for everyone, and we must all experience collective discomfort in order to move forward. We are a special focus school, but for almost a decade we've had a neighborhood catchment, one that has grown so big that for the first time in our 20-year history, we have no transfer slots available to any Portland students except siblings of our current students. We believe our current policy dilemma to be in direct violation of the district's equity policy. To frame our story tonight, we've outlined our biggest challenges using some of the tenets of critical race theory. To understand how we've arrived in this place of zero slots for non-neighborhood kids, it's important that we provide the board with a counter story of our enrollment data. If the board were to look at the data, at first glance it appears that we're relatively balanced with almost equal numbers of students who reside in and out of our catchment area. The data is incredibly misleading. PPS policy allows a family to stay at a school until the highest grade, even if they move homes. While this policy is an important one for many families, especially those without permanent housing, we see it as one that is easily abused by people who possess privilege. In Portland, countless numbers of families shop for schools. At Sunnyside, this plays out in a couple of repeating scenarios. Everything from families with means actually moving to our neighborhood to falsifying addresses to access our school. In all cases, parents are well-intentioned and simply looking for a great education for their child, but the majority of these families are white and possess white privilege. Please recognize that these well-intentioned privileged families show in our data as transfer families because their current addresses lie outside the catchment. And as environmental educators, we hold a collective belief that environmental justice is social justice. Whiteness is property in the form of intellectual currency when it comes to teaching our students how to interact with the environment in a personal way within our city and our global world. We have seen this whiteness as property go hand in hand with the permanence of racism at Sunnyside. There are many culturally sanctioned beliefs around environmental education and people of color, most of them perpetuated by the dominant culture and consciously or subconsciously used to maintain the dominant culture's power of school choice. The truth is that black and brown people are environmental scientists, farmers, engineers, foragers, botanists, naturalists, environmental social activists here in Portland and all over the globe. Is this the story we tell in Portland? We have been told many times over the years, publicly and privately and professionally, that black and brown families are not the ones who are applying to us in the lottery in the first place, implying both that we are a school that draws in white people and that environmental education is for the white majority. In addition, varying PPS employees have commented on our pedagogy not being the best fit for all students. Pedagogy that focuses on place-based, relevant experiences and creating a classroom community of learners above all else. After 3 years of deep, committed equity work, we now recognize these perpetuated false beliefs that simply have been the permanence of institutionalized systemic racism showing up over the years. Until now, they have gone relatively unchecked, and we are here today as white allies to interrupt that practice. Interest convergence and the critique of liberalism have plagued our school history as well. We have come before many different school boards over the years to present this very problem we are outlining right now. The only difference being that we did not have courageous conversation, common language, and the PPS equity policy at those times. We have discussed possible small incremental changes and even talked of opening a replica in a different, more diverse part of town once we were able to get grant funding or have time to devote to difficult politics. These changes don't address the bigger issue, and it is important that we're honest with ourselves. Small changes and changes that can be postponed because of messy politics do not fix the problem. They do not send the message that we value equal opportunities for black, brown, and white students alike. They actually epitomize the critique of liberalism. The small changes show that we are aware of the problem, but the solutions we pose simply maintain the status quo, keeping the dominant group in power with access. Our collective equity work requires that people of all races talk with each other about race and the impact of whiteness on all of us. That said, we are allowing our district to become more and more segregated, in some cases making it nearly impossible for our youth to begin these conversations with each other. Our school mission has always been the same: to bring students from all over Portland's neighborhoods together in an effort to address the larger local and global issues of racism, classism, and environmental social justice. We create future leaders and activists, and limiting access to our unique program sends a message that only certain students are cut out to be our future leaders for environmental justice.
We are a school who has implemented the equity work with great fidelity. We're interrupting our own whiteness and changing our curriculum and school practices. We infuse counterstory and multiple perspectives. We have begun a Parent Courageous Conversations group so that all of our community can speak the same language around racial equity. We are committed to making drastic changes in order to make sure that true equity of access exists for all. We understand the concept of interest convergence, and we understand that the dominant group will need to lose something for some things in order for equity to truly be achieved. That's fine by us. We are ready to start tonight. At this time, we are asking the board to make a decision to publicly, officially close our school as we know it, declare us to be the neighborhood school that we truly are, and publicly state that our lottery no longer exists. Portland does not have a school choice for environmental science. We are fooling the city and our community, and we continue to, if we continue to tell the story to the public. Once our school is named the neighborhood school that it is, our truth will be spoken to the city at large, and we hope to begin to work together on a different path for environmental education in Portland Public Schools.
My last name is Landers, Landers. To put a point on what they're saying, I'm a product of SES. In my formative years, I was allowed an opportunity to experience friendships and appreciation for the outdoors. This planted a seed of curiosity about the world and allowed me to travel in it with confidence. After returning from teaching English in Taiwan, starting my own Portland-based business, and working for Portland Public Schools, I find myself here telling you that under the current circumstances, a child like myself would have no place in EMS, one less opportunity that would close off several more possibilities. This can no longer be the case. Child first, or children first, not parents, not loopholes or bureaucracy.
Thank you.
Thank you.